radio1063.com.
And now, it's Coast View with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast View, the show that celebrates every single day here on 103.1, the people who make coastal Mississippi, and Mississippi for that matter, a better place to live, work, and play. Speaking of Mississippi, we had a great show yesterday. Had former Governor of Mississippi Phil Bryant on, had a special guest, a surprise guest for Phil, in Steve Azar, the singer-songwriter. He's a cultural ambassador for the state of Mississippi, and Phil actually appointed him to that, and he travels all over the United States, not only doing concerts, but also volunteering his time. It was just great to get those guys together and talk about what makes Mississippi so special. Hey, another thing that I promised yesterday, I mentioned that I had come across this app. I don't know much about the app. I don't have it. I haven't really been on it, but it's an ad. It's called the Self Growth Challenge, and it shows 20 lessons that you can learn. And just, the first couple are the 80-20 rule, the power of habit. And it kind of hit me that this is actually a good template for sharing some stuff with my audience about, things that actually worked for me throughout my career. So today I want to just share a couple of things about the 80-20 rule. If you do a search on the 80-20 rule, you're going to get a lot of information to read. And if you don't know about it, I would really encourage you to go take a look at it. But as an employee and then ultimately as a CEO of a company, the 80-20 rule is really important to me and my success. So let's grab a couple of graphics here. This one from Salesforce.com. And you may have heard the 80-20 rule is called the Pareto effect. And essentially what it says is that the majority of the results that you're going to get are going to tend to come from a minority of causes. Now, this could be in your personal life, it could be in your business life, it could be with employees. But what it says is that 20% of the effort ultimately gets you about 80% of the results. And too often we spend 80% of our effort focused on 20% of the results. So one of the things I kind of ran across from lifehack.org, a really good website, it said, here are some applications for it. So it said that what you ought to do is evaluate your input. So look at the things that you do that create the most amount of results. And one of the examples it gave said that it may take 10% of your time to create most of the impactful returns that you get. And what it says is you got to spend more time doing the things that give you the most reward. And put those things first on your schedule. And then obviously you got to then focus on those things that aren't producing results and downplay them. And in some cases, maybe you just need to eliminate them. I love this. This is from this is from Inc.com. It says only a fifth of salespeople, 20%, almost always exceed their quota on the average sales team. But it says that means that 80%, sometimes or often miss their quota. And this is something I want you to ask yourself. Are you in that 20%? For example, do you hold yourself to a higher standard? People who are in that 20% usually do. Do you believe in your company leadership? And do you believe in your company? The people who are in that top 20% always do. Are you motivated by incentives? People who are in that top 20% are definitely always motivated by incentives. And are you organized? In order to understand what your activities are and which ones produce the most results, you've got to be very organized. Anyway, I really encourage you to go take a look at this. One thing that Netflix determined, and this is actually from an internal study they did, in procedural work, the best are 2 times better than average. In creative and inventive work, they're 10 times better than the average. Anyway, there's a lot to learn about the 80-20 rule, and I can tell you it's really worked in my life. You ought to take a little bit of time to look into that if you haven't already. Tomorrow we're going to look at the power of habit. So now I'm actually thrilled now because we're going to have a full show today focused on 3 special guests. They know a lot about the 80-20 rule. Joining me today is Frank Bertucci, the president of the oldest beer company in coastal Mississippi, F.E.B. Distributing Company. He's also the CEO of Capital City Beverages in Jackson. Also joining us is Ryland Bertucci, the director of sales at F.E.B., and then Jeff Bertucci, the director of operations and general counsel for F.E.B. Distributing. Good morning, guys. How are y'all doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So listen, we're going to start with you, Frank. In addition to the companies that you're responsible for, You also serve on the board of directors for Hancock Whitney Holding with our friend John Hairston. You know a lot about the 80-20 rule, I know, which is, about focusing on specific things that are going to really make a difference. And you got to be organized to do the things that you're involved in. It makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. For me, I think taking away the 80-20 rule is basically three things I think about. And one is commitment. And when I mean commitment, that is that you're committed to your organizations, the companies you serve, or your boards that you serve on. And you're committed to those employees that are in your organization and the families that we help the employees to keep employed.
Yeah.
The other thing that I found through the commitment is, and I think I take this away from what my father taught me years ago, and that was, some people call it simplification, some people call it, don't overanalyze things. I like to say keep the main thing the main thing, and so that's what we try to do in our companies is, we juggle a lot of balls with what we do, but at the end of the day, we sell beer, which is a great thing. And we don't need to make it too complicated. The other thing is integrity. And I think for you to be successful, I think that you need to maintain your integrity, not only in your business life, but your personal life. Be true to yourself. What I like to think, again, I take a phrase from my father who basically told me that, you lose your integrity, you can usually never get it back. And
yeah. As a newspaper publisher, I learned this quote somewhere along the way. I don't know who said it, but it said, everything is negotiable except your integrity. You can't negotiate your integrity. One of the things is so interesting hearing you talk about those specific things, because there's a great book that was written called Built to Last. And it talked about these companies that could stand the test of time, that could stand the generational test of time, had enduring core values that were just kind of built into the DNA of that company. And you guys are a fourth generation family owned business. You've seen so much change. You've seen expansion. You've added brands along the way. You've seen big changes actually in the brewery business in the past even 5 years. Casino gaming changed the course of history for you guys in a big way, forced you to have to think about use of technology and expansion of your warehousing and how you distribute the beer and so on and so on and so on. But, Frank, when you look at a fourth generation family owned business, it's got to give you an incredible amount of pride, doesn't it?
it does. We're very blessed. We're blessed in a lot of ways. We're blessed to be in the community we serve and live on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. I believe it's the greatest place on this earth, and I like visiting other places, but I wouldn't want to live anywhere else but here. I believe that the other thing, it takes a work ethic to last the test of time. I was taught a long time ago, the evolution of a family business is the first generation is the entrepreneur. The second generation generally takes it to financial success. And the third generation, which actually is myself and my brother Paul, usually either sells it off or bankrupts it because they don't want to work as hard as the first two generations that don't have the commitment. They just want to know what's in it for us. And so what I'm very proud of is the work ethic that has been instilled in all of us since the first generation has stood the test of time. And I do believe that without that, we wouldn't be here today. And I can congratulate both of my sons who are tremendous leaders of the new, what I call the new organization, their organization, into the fourth generation.
It's a beautiful story, and you're right. It is about, you and Paul did a great job of keeping it together. And what I love about the story of passing it on to Ryland and Jeff, and the way that you guys are in the process of doing, is that it's evident that early in their lives you had a sense of, sort of what their roles are going to be, and they went off to LSU. And in the case of Jeff, he went on to Ole Miss Law School and worked as a lawyer for 7 years. But think about Roland and the work that he did to prepare me. We're not from the same family, but he might as well have been my work dad. The work that the focus that he spent on mentorship and preparation and thinking ahead and understanding what the impact was going to be, it's truly incredible. Hey, when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation with the third and fourth generations of F.E.B. distributing. And what I want to do is spend a little bit more time. I want to hear from you, Frank, real quick about lessons from your dad. I want you to tell me about your dad. And then, Ryland, we're gonna move over to you and see about your life coming up and the work that you're doing today, and then we'll move to you as well, Justin. We'll see you after this break.
Coast View on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi, and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. We're telling the story of F.E.B. Distributing today, and we have Frank Bertucci, Rylan Bertucci, and Jeff Bertucci joining us. And as Frank talked about in that first segment, it's not a fait accompli that you're going to get from a third generation to a fourth generation. A lot of thoughtful planning has to be put into place. A lot of development and mentorship has to happen. And, they've got a great story to tell now about 4 generations, family-owned business for 4 generations. It's an incredible story right here in coastal Mississippi, the oldest beer distributorship here in coastal Mississippi. And then, of course, Frank has responsibilities in Jackson as well, and we'll talk about that a little bit as we get into this conversation. Hey, before we move over to the boys, Frank, let's talk for just a second about your dad. I had the benefit of knowing him. You had the benefit of working so closely with him. He taught you a bunch of lessons during that time, didn't he?
Absolutely. I look back at my father. He was hard to believe based on knowing me, and he was a man of few words, but when he spoke, people listened. He had a way about him that he just carried himself in a manner that he's full of wisdom, and I was blessed to work every day for 35 years with him. And I don't think there was a day that I did not go in his office and pick his brain. And I think what was so amazing about my dad was that I think when I talked to him about certain aspects of the business and I told him what my decision was, he knew I was fixing to step in a pothole. But he let me do it instead of saying, no, don't do it that way, do it this way, because I think he realized that's how I would learn and move forward in the business. And so we had a great relationship, although obviously being a father-son for 35 years in the business, there was tension, there was disagreement, but at the end of the day, he was my best friend, but he also taught me not only tremendous business skills, but just life in general and family first and, that type of thing. So there was no unspoken word, and I just gained a lot from those years with him.
I know you did in so many of our conversations, how much he meant to you and how lucky you were to have him by your side during all that time. It's so interesting. There's so many cool stories of father-son transitions. I think about Chevis Sweatman and the passing of the baton there to Chevis and Roy Anderson, and he talked about, even though he was like president of the company in his mid-30s, his dad was always, he said, 30 feet away from him if he needed him, and they had this incredible relationship. But you see the ones that matter. I mean, the ones that went through that generational passing in such a successful way. It's so, in most cases, what you see is that fourth generation, in your case, can take it to a level you never thought about, because they've got a sort of a new spirit of use of technology or whatever it might be that can really take the business to a whole new place. Even in the case of Roland Weeks, who was not my father, obviously, but my work father, the effort and energy he put on passing that baton to me, just incredible. So many great stories like that along coast of Mississippi.
One thing I might add is that real quickly is you talk about passing the baton, and that was another thing I credit my father with, and my sons are doing it as we speak, and that is the transition from his people to me surrounding myself with my people. And that's a difficult thing to let your child move forward and tell you that I've got this 30-year employee that, we want to replace with my 25-year-old employee,
But see, that shows a lot of those are tough decisions. Every company has to make those decisions. But at the end of the day, it's so important. People need their team. They need their team, and it's a signal. It's not just a signal. It's a sign that you literally are passing the baton, which means the responsibility, the true delegation to build this company and make it what it needs to be. Ron, let's come to you for just a second. You grew up in this business, man. I mean, how old were you when you had your first job at F.E.B.?
Well, so and I should say, Jeff and I started similarly, and as far as working for the company, and he's a couple of years older than me, so he was fortunate to start before I did, but we kind of had similar paths when we were in junior high and high school. First job was sweeping the warehouse, putting up the point of sale materials like neons and metal signs. We kind of graduated that role onto being a helper on a beer truck, side loader truck. My dad told us both, you think you're serious about being in the beer business? Well, while our friends were off wakeboarding in the summertime, we were getting up at 4:30 in the morning. Sometimes would not get done until 8 o'clock at night off that truck 5 days a week. Kind of went from there. And then, we both went, I went to LSU, followed my brother to LSU. And the 4 years I was there, I really got interested in economics. And that's where I, finished my degree in economics. And it was really about the end of my junior year that I realized, I want to go into the beer business. That's my ultimate passion. It always has been. While I was there, I had the opportunity to get a job with the local Miller distributor there, Baton Rouge Beer Agency. And I was fortunate enough to be able to get some experience working for another distributorship that was not my family. And that was probably the best experience that I could get coming out of college, going into my beer career.
Yeah, I think that, for both you and Jeff, and we'll get to Jeff in a second, but this willingness to let you guys kind of branch out and gain a perspective before you came and hit the ground running in your current leadership roles, it shows a lot of wisdom and I don't know, patience, but an understanding that mentorship means you gotta learn from the ground up, and gaining a different perspective is really important. I mean, it probably, can you imagine what your current role as director of sales would be like if you didn't have some of that experience in your background?
Exactly. Yeah, that's it was very, very important and crucial to my career where I'm at now. Pretty much from college, I came right into the business as I was a territory manager over a selective territory of convenience stores. I had a couple of salesmen underneath me that I managed. I basically started off in the sales department. Craft beers started booming in our market area in the 2009, early 2010. Felt the need for a craft beer manager, a full-time craft beer manager. I did that for probably the next 4 or 5 years, and then settled my way into the director of sales role. And to my dad's point, I've been able to experience, his people retire, his people, go off, and I've been able to surround myself with my team of people. And it is a pretty interesting thing to see when you start, you're working with your dad's people, and they're great people, and that they're the type of people that's bled for our company for like the last 25, 30 years plus. But being able to surround yourself with the people that you want to surround yourself with, it's been a great, part of my career. And I've got a tremendous team right now of people, managers and salespeople. So
that's really cool. Again, it's what delegation means. Delegate means you give someone a goal, and then you let them figure out the best way to achieve that goal. Jeff, coming over to you, you guys both went to LSU. You went on to law school, and you actually practiced law for 7 years. What a great opportunity for you to see how the world works.
It was, that was a tremendous experience. And I really enjoyed being a lawyer. I think, though, that, our passion for our business was born in us, as Rylan said, at an early age. My first job, like he said, was 12 or 13, working in the summers. I remember having to ride with my dad to work and sweeping around the warehouse. I think I probably made my first beer delivery with him when I was probably like 5 or 6. But, one thing Dad did, and whether it was intentional or not, he always pushed us to go off and do something else. Whether he say, I don't have a job for you, or, there's nothing open. So when I graduated from LSU, I was forced with a decision. I really do think that my heart's been in the beer business for many years, but always had an interest in law.
So let's do this. I want to, the law piece of this chapter is so important and so interesting. What we'll do is we'll come back to, we'll pick up there. You always had a passion for the business, but the decision you made to go to law school, we'll pick it up right there when we come back on the other side, having this part of the conversation with Jeff Bertucci. But we're hearing the story of F.E.B. Distributing, the oldest beer company in coastal Mississippi. What an amazing 4 generations, family owned. What a great story. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation.
Listen live or on demand and watch episodes of Coast View on your laptop, desktop, or on your phone or tablet by going to supertalkmsgulfcoast.com.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi, and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm. SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter. Has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard. And,
wow.
All this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
And now, it's Coast View with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota, Gulf Coast Business Supply, and AGJ Systems and Networks on Super Talk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast View. We have the Bertucci family members here, and this 4-generation family-owned business, F.E.B Distributing, started in 1934, the oldest beer distributor here in coastal Mississippi. When we went to break, I was having a conversation specifically with Jeff about he got out of LSU Law School. He knew that the distributorship was probably in his blood, but he had the decision to make about whether he should go to law school or not. So why don't you pick it up there, and Jeff, and continue the rest of that story?
Yeah, so I mean, I really do think probably when I was 12 or 13, I knew I wanted to be in the beer business. I spent 4 years at LSU. I got a degree in finance, and I even remember calling my father when I was trying to determine on what degree to get and say, what would be the best for our business? But when I graduated, I had a decision to make. My dad at the time said, you need to go find some extra schooling or find somebody else to work for because we don't have something here for you. And, intentional or not, he always pushed us to go do something different. He used to say, go be better, go do something better. So I got some great advice as a graduating senior at LSU from a guy who's the big brother in my fraternity. I was thinking about either getting an MBA or getting a law degree, and because I'd always be interested in law. And he said, if you go get an MBA, you're just going to be like any other guy in business that has an MBA. But if you go get a law degree, and he was in law school at the time, he said that's an education that you can't replace, whether you use it or not. So I did. I took the LSAT. I didn't actually get into LSU, which could kind of made me cross into enemy territory at Ole Miss. But had a great experience there. Met a lot of people. Made a lot of lifelong friends and connections. Came out of law school. Got a job clerking with Judge David Ishii, who at the time was with the Mississippi Court of Appeals. Now he's a Mississippi Supreme Court Justice. Really learned how to do legal research and writing, kind of hone that skill. And then joined a local firm down here, Schwartz, Orgler & Jordan, who's got a great reputation as a transactional firm. I got to know Robert Schwartz at a very young age, is a close friend of mine, and it's probably the most invaluable experience I've ever had. Even though I think he knew that I would eventually go back into the beer business. I practiced with him for 7 years across all different areas of practice. He threw me in the deep end on the first day and sent me to court to argue a motion that I prepared for about an hour before I went in, which was kind of trial by fire. But I got real world experience that made me maybe a better lawyer, but maybe a better better worker. You have to learn time management. You have to learn to deal with all different types of people, learn to problem solve, which has been very, very invaluable to my role here at the company now. I've been back since 2015 running operations because as Dad said, you're juggling a lot of balls, especially in operations where you're overseeing warehouse and delivery and inventory.
Well, I know because my son Jordan works for that law firm here in coastal Mississippi as well. And you left a terrific reputation there as a really excellent lawyer. And you know what? It's a little bit divine intervention, in my view, that you didn't get into LSU Law School because, you know, it's a different kind of law in Louisiana, as you well know. And if you're going to practice, which you sort of are, in Mississippi, you need to learn Mississippi law. And the other thing is you got to learn a whole new network of friends that you probably, you know, wouldn't have had you not gone to Ole Miss Law School. But, you know, what I know in watching my son, Jordan, go to law school and then working with lawyers throughout my career as a CEO is lawyers are taught how to, as you pointed out, solve problems. You know, they're taught to think, and to be a good writer, which you are, you have to really be able to organize your thoughts and sort of boil it all down. So what a great, you know, proving ground for you, learning to be a lawyer, having to practice as a lawyer for 7 years before coming back to the company. You know, Frank, when you look at your sons, you have to be amazed at what they've been able to accomplish in their lives and the preparation they went through to get back to this company. And you're right, when you pass off to a fourth generation, you get a chance to take the company to a whole new level. I mean, things like technology and whatever, you know, it's amazing what they can do from this point forward, isn't it?
Yeah, I look back at when I first started in the company, and I think we had 6 brands and 26 packages of beer. Today, I don't know what we have. One of them will probably tell you. And when they
how many brands, guys?
We have over about 250 different brands, but when you talk about packages or stock keeping units, SKUs, we're 700. 700.
Goodness gracious.
It's not our daddy's beer business anymore.
No.
No, it's not. Go ahead, Frank. I'm sorry.
We've got about 35 different suppliers that we deal with.
So it's a dramatic change, which you would expect. Most industries have evolved over the last 87, 90 years. But I do think that the power of generational businesses is the fact that the things these guys are doing today that I'm so proud of, I would have never thought about. I'm not smart enough. I mean, they're forward thinking into tomorrow. And I think I did that. My brother Paul probably did that with my father as well. And I think that's why when I got in the business full time in 1979, there were 56 independent beer distributors in the state of Mississippi. That's all brands. Today, there's 9 total beer distributors in the state of Mississippi. And I believe the ones who have survived are the ones that were able to move forward, not be in a comfort zone of how we did it yesterday, we're going to do it tomorrow. And I think that's the power, too, of having family-owned businesses that contribute that aspect. And these 2 guys, and they can tell you more about it, they're on top of their game.
Well, what's interesting about this story, and that's one of the reasons why you guys have been so successful, is that, people tend to do what they've always done, and they'll, you'll get what you always got if you do what you always did. The reality is that with gaming and the change in the brewing business, which is very dramatic actually, with microbreweries and all these different brands popping up, and it's a challenging time, and it's amazing that you guys have so many brands that you're having to say grace over now. But technology, Frank, plays a huge role in that, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We couldn't do it without the technology, and we couldn't do it without these 2 guys, because again, I probably would look at some of the things they did and ask them if they had lost their minds. Not only for not only for how much it costs, but just the fact that it was just so foreign to me. And automation, and they can maybe touch on that if we got a minute, but in warehouse and trucking and all aspects.
But all that is implicit in this evolving story of a distributorship that has to do these things to be successful. One of the things I like about what you're doing is that you always have to be focused on what the best practices are. What are other distributors doing? How are they using technology? How are they innovating? And we live in such an innovative time. What works today may not necessarily work tomorrow. I saw you guys were actually in Pennsylvania last week, at a company that one of the oldest in America, I might add. What were y'all doing there, Rylan?
So we were there on a Yuengling incentive trip. Jeff and I were able to go, and I was able to bring 4 of my sales managers with us. We took one night and went to the Braves-Phillies game, and then the next day we went and toured America's oldest brewery, established 1829, the DG Yuengling & Son Brewery. 6 generations. Dick Yuengling, we were able to visit with him, the 5th generation owner, and he never had any sons. He has 4 daughters, and all 4 of his daughters make up the 6th generation, and they're all in the business.
Well, when you get to take a trip like that, Jeff, it really does open your eyes to other possibilities. You never know where conversations are going to take you that might lead to some future innovation back here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Isn't that true?
Absolutely. And to visit a company like that shares a similar storyline that we do, that's been through 6 generations, and that's got a father that's still managing the next generation to some extent and passing it on. And we actually got an opportunity to spend some time with Dick Yuengling and allow him to impart some of his wisdom upon us. It really is, and it helps open our people's eyes too. What they saw at Yuengling was we've installed some of that same technology that a billion-dollar brewery has right here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And that comes from a mindset and of one wanting to evolve with the times, because like Dad said, if you're not evolving, you may be dying. But it's reinvesting in your people too.
Your dad is helping me manage the time. Look at that. He saw Kyle hold the clock up, and but it is true that you have to be always willing to be aware of and learn about the best practice. I often say on this show that the more we learn, the more we better learn how much we don't know, that life's just kind of journey of discovery. And it's humbling. It's humbling. There's always people who think they get a lock on knowledge. The moment they do, they start going backwards. That is for definitely sure. What a great story. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about getting involved in the community and where the company goes from here. We'll see you after this break.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Del Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera flips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. One of the reasons I decided to do Coast View was the opportunity to create a digital history book of family stories, of leadership stories, of amazing stories here in coastal Mississippi. And the story of F.E.B. Distributing Company is just one of those amazing stories, a fourth generation family-owned business. And the opportunity to be able to sit with Frank Bertucci and his two sons, Ryland and Jeff, and talk about the passing of that baton it's just a special moment, and I hope you're enjoying it. You know, Ryland, real quick, you know, it's so interesting, though, to think about this company and the passing of the batons and all that. But, man, it took a lot of people over a lot of years to get this company to where it is today, didn't it?
Yes, it did. And that's actually a good point, because Jeff and I talk about this all the time, that we wouldn't be here right now and be fortunate enough to be the fourth generation in our family business if it wasn't for all the people who came and have gone before us. And I'm not just referring to family members, I'm referring to the 1,000 employees over the 4 generations that dedicated their time, their commitment to our family and to the company. And you know, one quick thing I'll say too, I'll be remiss if I didn't mention our Jeff and I's first cousin. He runs the IT department for all of our companies, Matthew Hessel, and he actually is part of the 4th generation too. And he had a key role in advancing our technology.
That's awesome. And what would you add to that, Jeff?
I just think I would say the same thing. I mean, you know, our best asset here is our people. And, you know, these people have watched us grow up. You know, many of them, some of them still work here. You know, he's got 2 managers that Ryland and I were helpers on their trucks when we were in high school. And, you know, we've never lost touch of that we're only here because of the people that came before us. And so when you talk about evolving with the industry and new things that we're looking at and looking outside the box, it's really an investment in those people that make their job easier, because they're running the company every day. They're the ones that are here, putting in the sweat equity to get the job done. And we feel very fortunate that we have a company that has had such a great team over the last 87 years.
So Frank, when you hear your sons talk, I'll let you make your point in just a second. When you hear your sons talk, I bet you sometimes wonder what it would be like if your dad could see this moment.
Well, I think he'd be very proud. One thing is, actually, there were two cases in our history where 3 generations worked together. My grandfather, who started it, my father and myself and brother were all together for a period of years. And then my father, myself, and Ryland were here for a period of years together before he passed on. So I think that he knew, he was confident in where we were going to take the company. The one thing that hasn't changed in the last 87 years about the beer business, it's a relationship business.
Yes.
And that's constant. It's a relationship business, and it starts with the relationship with your employees and their families, and then obviously to our customers and our community.
Well, you mentioned community, and during the break, I wanted to mention this to you. If you look at each of your bios, you've always believed that being active in the community, being involved in the community was really important. But F.E.B's role in helping to build a better community has always been important to you, hasn't it, Frank?
It has, and that was also passed down for generation to generation. And we're blessed to work and live in a wonderful community, a very diverse community from coastline to coastline, which I think is what makes us so great. And it's always been instilled in us to give back. The community's done so much for 4 generations, and we just have a commitment and an obligation to not only give of our time, but also give of our resources back to the community where we can.
It's so important. So, hey, the one thing we didn't talk about, Frank, was Capital City Beverage. Of course, it's not here in coastal Mississippi. It's in Jackson, but it was established in 1941. It's got an amazing, rich history, doesn't it?
It does, and we're real proud of that company as well. And it's also in its 4th generation of leadership with their cousin, Brian Drennan, who also was a practicing attorney. So you figure out how his father, Frank Drennan, and myself can ever have a conversation with those 2 guys. They're constantly telling these old men, you can't say that. You can't say that.
That's when they tell us to leave.
Oh man, that happens all the time.
Well, hey, that is God, it's so powerful though. At the time that they begin to have a voice and say, guys, we gotta change with the times. You start to pay attention to that, don't you, Frank?
I do, and eventually they just said, don't put it in writing. So our job is to get out of the way, and it's not easy to do. But
I know it's not.
Getting better, boys.
Yeah,
absolutely. Better.
I love to come to work every day to work with my brother, who's my best friend, and my dad, who's been my role model since I could see. And it's truly invaluable.
Agreed,
really
100%.
Well, look, we're out of time, but man, let me tell you what, it is indeed a pleasure. I have been working on your dad probably since I started this show a year and a half ago to come on this show and tell me your story. And and you see why people who are listening can really appreciate that. It doesn't come just, it's not something that just naturally happens. You got to work at it. You got to pass these enduring core values, or businesses will go out of business. So it's not like somebody handed this to you on a silver platter. It took a lot of hard work, a lot of forethought, a lot of focus on values and integrity to get to this moment. And I think after people listen to this conversation, they're going to understand that, the story of F.E.B. Distributing. So thank you guys for spending some time with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the
Appreciate
opportunity.
you, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Follow SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on Facebook. Facebook.com/SuperTalk MS Coast 103.1.